Come on in, welcome to my home. Today, we are going to make 2 more freezer meals. Well, okay, they're not true meals, but they're 2 more, entrees or big additions to making your cooking so much easier. Okay, now I will tell you on the first one, which is the panini breakfast sandwich. I did veer from the recipe. It's a Pioneer Woman recipe. It is linked down below in the description, and I did veer off of it because of 2 things. One, I didn't have a panini press. No, and I was like, well, a panini press is really just a toaster, so can I toast my bread? You'll have to wait and find out. And then 2, I didn't need 18 sandwiches. And this is where I made one of my mistakes. But we'll get to that. So, it's really easy to put together. The directions are so simple to follow. And I will tell you how I thought about it. I thought about it at the very end. But let's get started. We're jumping into voiceover me. So I knew one of the first things that I wanted to do was toast my bread since I didn't have a panini press. So I did the simple thing of buttering 2 sides of my sourdough bread and then putting that into the oven. That's a really easy thing to do. Now, of course, I realistically needed if there are 18 sandwiches, I needed 36 slices of sourdough bread. That wasn't going to happen. That definitely was not going to happen. So I only did the 1 loaf of bread, and I should have realized where the mistake was going to come from that. But I put it into the oven. I made sure to rotate the pans and double check and make sure that it didn't get too dark or anything. One I left really light to see how that would fare with making it, and then the other I let get a little bit darker till they were all nice and toasted. Then once they're all nice and toasted, I took them out of the oven and let them cool. Step 1 was done. Step 2. Step 2 was the making of the scrambled egg mixture, and that's really simple. It's like lots of eggs, cream, or half and half, half and half, which is half milk, half cream, and then salt and pepper, and you mix that up together. Because I had so many eggs, I should have mixed it in a stand mixer, but I didn't. I mixed it by hand, and believe me, that was a lot of eggs to be mixing up. And that's where you'll see it. We'll see it. Okay, we'll go on to the next step. It is so simple from here on out. Okay, in a large skillet, we are going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter, and then we are going to fry up our ham. This was incredibly easy, and I knew instantly that since I had 7 sandwiches, I was going to use 14 pieces of ham, and you want to fry those up so you slightly char them. The butter helps brown them up, but this is so simple. They fry up pretty quickly, and they fry up really nice. Then I flipped them over, make sure that both sides had some charring on it, not a lot. The butter will brown, which will add to that texture and to that wonderful taste, but it is so simple to do. I did use my tongs because I have a non-stick pan, and I did not want to ruin the pan with metal tongs. So I took that out, and we set that aside to cool. Alright, the mayonnaise and the lime mixture, one of my mistakes. So I am using mayonnaise and lime, and realistically, I could have doubled this, because even with the few sandwiches that I made, I did not taste the mayonnaise lime mixture whatsoever on them. I should have gone way heavier on the mayonnaise lime mixture because it was really good. I did taste it while I was mixing it up. It was really good. This might actually go on some of my other sandwiches, which aren't the sandwich. But yeah, it tasted really, really good. So once that mixture is made, you set that aside. Now we're on to our next step. Now we are going to take 1 tablespoon of butter, and all we're going to do is we're going to scramble the eggs. This is really simple. You can just put your tablespoon of butter in there, let it melt or not let it melt like I did because I'm an impatient person. And then you are going to pour in your eggs, and what I did is I just kept my eggs moving on the bottom of the pan so that way nothing would stick, and then I just scrambled them. So I just went through, made sure that everything kept getting mixed and cooked often, you want to make sure that you get this to an egg consistency that I went sort of a slightly drier scrambled egg because I knew I didn't want any moisture coming in contact with that toast, making it soggy and icky and horrible and everything. So yeah, didn't want that to happen. So once those eggs were cooked, I took them out of the pan, put them onto a plate, and those have to cook so that we can do our assembly. The assembly is really easy and straightforward, just as you would expect. You are going to take your mayonnaise mixture, spread that on both pieces of bread. I would spread that heavy. Don't do what I did, spread it heavy. After that, you're going to top your bottom piece of bread with 1 chili. I did not have chili, I could not get single whole chilies, so I went with diced chilies. It worked just as well. Mine used 1 can of chilies. I bought 2 cans, but I did not need the second can. But yeah, these are diced chilies. So I spread that on top there. Then I topped that with the ham. Then what I should have done was place a much thinner layer of scrambled eggs on there. This is where this became sort of an issue. If I'd gone with a thinner layer of scrambled eggs, it would have been easy, but I didn't, so live and learn. Then you will top that with, they say, a slice of cheese. I did not have Monterey Jack sliced cheese. I did have Monterey Jack shredded cheese, so I topped that with the Monterey Jack shredded cheese. And then you put your other slice of bread, which has been mayonnaised, on top of that. I wrapped mine in foil, and then we were done and ready to go. So then, what do? Well, I stuck mine in the freezer after I labeled them. Make sure that you label them so that way, since they're wrapped in foil, you really can't see what they are. I labeled them. After labeling them, and they've been frozen, here's where we came with our first new problem. The problem was that the recipe calls for this to bake frozen for 30 to 35, or for 20 to 30 minutes frozen. I should have known better because my sandwiches were super, super, super thick, but I tried it at the 20 to 25 minute range and it didn't work. 25 minutes to 30 range, it was still frozen in the middle. I ended up, because we were going to eat, I ended up having to microwave the sandwiches, and guess what? They weren't bad! I was expecting the bread to be terrible and everything, it to be just not working whatsoever. No, it really worked. I mean, even microwave, because the bread had gotten nice and crusty, even microwaving it did not cause the bread to become a soggy, horrible mess. And the sandwich tasted really good. Now, why did I mention the mayonnaise? Because I did not taste the mayonnaise. The chilies, I think, took away any hint of the mayonnaise, so I would have definitely gone with more mayonnaise. And the next time I make this, which I will definitely make again, I'm only going to make half the number of eggs. Because I don't need 18 sandwiches, that should have kicked into my little brain and said, hey, if you're going to make less than 18 sandwiches, half the amount of eggs. I didn't. And the other thing I did find is you can freeze extra scrambled eggs and heat them up, bake them in foil, and they're not bad. They're not bad. I mean, it's not something I would do all the time, but it worked. It absolutely worked. These sandwiches were absolutely delicious. So the next time I go to make one from the freezer, I will put it in my oven at 350 degrees for about an hour because mine are so thick. Yours, which you're probably smart enough not to make your sandwich that thick, you can then do it for the 25 to 30 minutes or 20 to 25 minutes, whatever the recipe calls for. It's a really good recipe. It's wonderful. I had very little waste left over from this. It was just fantastic. And then the fact that I could heat it up in those little aluminum foil packages. I wish that I would have gotten more sandwich bags, and I could have put them in the sandwich bags and heated them up in the reusable sandwich bags, but didn't think about it. Our next recipe is the roasted chicken thighs. Now, I have done this before, making this the exact same way that's listed down below in the recipe that's down below. The link is there. I've made this before. It is absolutely delicious, but I never thought of just making these ahead and I put them into plastic bags so that way I could freeze them. But I'll tell you my trick about that. First, let's make them. The first thing that you are going to do is take your ingredients and mix them together. Your oil, your vinegar, all of your spices and everything. Just mix that together. Then you're going to dump in your skinless, boneless chicken thighs. Make sure that that mixture is all coating the chicken, and then you'll bake it or roast it. Roast it for the amount of time that you need to make sure that the chicken gets completely done. And oh, it smelled so good while it was baking. It smelled absolutely amazing. So then, what did I do? Well, once the chicken was done, I took it out of the refrigerator, or took it out of the oven, and then I let it cool. Once it had cooled, I put it on a wire rack, and I put that into the freezer. You're questioning, why didn't I wrap these things up before I put them into the freezer? Simple. Now, once the chicken is frozen, I can take the frozen chicken, which is, big pieces, put them into a bag or a storage container, whatever you're putting them in, and they're now individual. They're not clumped together. They're individual pieces, which I can then which I'm having this tonight, so you won't get to see the final result for this one, but it really was good. I did taste some after I made this. So then I can take the bag out of the freezer, and they're not stuck together, which is really nice. So then when I go to heat it up, I don't have a clumped mess. This goes back to what I've been saying, that when you make your freezer meals and all those things, do them in individual servings, put them out so that they don't stick together, so you're not having to chisel away something so that you can break it up and actually use it. Because guess what? You're going to use it that way. But the breakfast sandwich was amazing. More mayonnaise, next time, less egg. And then, of course, the chicken thighs were just delicious. And tonight I'm going to make them on a garlic spaghetti chicken dish, which is really good. But it's so simple. I should have done this ages ago. You will be seeing more of these. There'll be one a month where I will do at least 1 or 2 freezer meals. If you have suggestions, let me know down in the comments. At this time, I'd like to thank these wonderful people who let me go on these journeys where I can make freezer meals and try these things out. If you want to become part of the Patreon or part of the channel members, where you get these videos early, and then you also get a behind-the-scenes video of what I'm doing in my life. You get to know what things are coming up. You get to actually see me test out some things. So I have products that I test out all the time, and they don't make it on this channel. You usually get to even see my favorites come up before you see them on the channel. So you can join that. You can join this through the channel members or the Patreon. Or you can also like and share this video, which lets the YouTube algorithm know that this is a video other people need to see. This was a lot of fun to make. These recipes are really good. Check them out. If you do, let them know that I sent you. And I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about this, and I hope I get to see you again the next time you stop by.